Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're literally tracing a single identity across centuries. We're going to explore the Pathak lineage, looking at how this ancient family of scholars evolved from, reciting sacred texts in early Indian ashrams, all the way to becoming this massive, dynamic, global diaspora. So whether you actually share this surname, maybe you know someone who does, or you're just kind of fascinated by how human geography and ancestral heritage intersect, you are going to find this incredibly interesting. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to think about something for a second. What does a surname actually reveal about a family's ancient history? Because, well, we often treat our last names as just bureaucratic labels, right? Just a name on a passport. But there's so much more than that. A single family name can encode centuries of history, geographic migrations, and just profound social evolution. It's essentially a time capsule of your ancestors' daily lives. And for the Pathak lineage, the very seed of their identity is rooted right in the language itself, specifically the ancient Sanskrit word pataha. This directly translates to one who reads or scholar. So historically, this denoted a very highly specific, really respected profession within the Hindu Brahmin community. They were the dedicated reciters of religious texts. Right from day one, their foundational identity was built entirely around knowledge, literacy, and preserving sacred information.
Ancient roots and lineages, the Vedic scholars.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the Pathak surname isn't just one single straight genetic line. It's actually a collection of distinct ancestral lineages, which are known as gotras, that all share this overarching scholarly identity. You'll see here that many trace back to sage Kashyapa. He was literally one of the most prominent rishis, or sages, in the traditional Vedic order. But we also see connections to other revered figures, guys like Bharadvaj and Parashara. And these gotras, they aren't just ancient history. They still hold immense social significance today, especially when it comes to traditional marriage customs. And it's important to realize these ancient scholars weren't just sitting around in isolation. They were true institutional builders. They established ashrams and Sanskrit schools in major Vedic centers of learning. Think places like Kashi, Mithila, Prayagraj, and Naimisharanya. They were famously known to belong to the Kachayana Shaka of the Yajur-Veda. Basically, that means they preserved a very specific, incredibly complex branch of ancient Hindu study. Plus, their lineage is often linked to the Shaktudbi Brahmins, who were originally associated with the Magadha region. In essence, these were the professors and the university founders of the ancient world.
Migration to Nepal, the heritage of hill Brahmins.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of their historical journey. Because, history is rarely static, and neither are people. Historical records indicate the hill Brahmins, who are known in Nepal as the Bahun community, actually originated down in the Gangetic Plains. We're talking specifically about places like Kanauj in present-day Uttar Pradesh. From down there, they migrated all the way up into the rugged western Himalayas and eventually pushed eastward right into Nepal. The Pathaks, being a key part of this Bahun group, literally carried their scholarly traditions along this incredibly challenging physical path. And once they settled down in Nepal, they definitely didn't just blend into the background. They very quickly re-established their historical roles. Over in the Mithila region of Nepal, the Mithila Pathaks emerged as this incredibly elite scholarly group. I mean, they were revered across the entire society as gurus, priests, and premier Vedic scholars. Actually, back in ancient times, the Pathaks were considered among the absolute wealthiest and most influential castes in Nepal. And that was largely because of the immense social capital that came from their religious and educational expertise.
And that massive migration left a permanent demographic mark that we still see today. Right now, a striking 7% of everyone in the world with the surname Pathak lives in Nepal. Now, obviously, India holds the vast majority. That makes sense. But this 7% makes Nepal the definitive second largest home for the Pathak lineage globally. It just goes to show you how significant that historical push into the Himalayas really was.
And taking a look within Nepal itself, their broader community is absolutely massive. The Bahun community, which includes the Nepali Pathaks, makes up a whopping 12.2% of Nepal's entire population. To put that into perspective for a second, that makes them the second most populous demographic group in the entire country today. That's a huge footprint. And they're literally spread everywhere. This isn't just some isolated mountain community we're talking about. The Bahuns are actually the largest single population group in 15 different Nepali districts. This ranges from the eastern plains like Japa and Marang, right into the bustling heart of the capital in Kathmandu, and all the way across to Taski and Singja. They have this widespread demographic presence that deeply influences both the rural hills and the modern urban centers of Nepal today.
social reform and education, a shift in focus.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the modern era. Because, well, the role of the scholar inevitably had to adapt as the world modernized around them. For centuries, their historical role was strictly tied to Vedic recitation, doing religious rituals, and priestly duties in the ashram. But during the medieval and modern periods, that traditional mandate for scholarship naturally evolved. A lot of intellectuals bearing the Pathak name shifted from being purely religious figures to becoming highly active, progressive social reformers. They actively participated in India's freedom struggle. They used their educational backgrounds to fight hard for the eradication of caste discrimination, and they became leading voices in promoting women's education. Basically, they took the whole concept of bringing light through knowledge out of the temple and directly into the streets. So the crucial point is that because they were historically the educators, the readers, Pathak Brahmins were uniquely positioned to inspire India's social consciousness through their intellect. Their legacy expanded far, far beyond just religion. They recognized flaws in society and actively stepped up to shape a modern, more equitable social consciousness. Their intellect literally became a tool for profound social change.
A modern global diaspora beyond South Asia.
This brings us to the final chapter of their geographical journey. We've gone from the ancient Gangetic Plains to the peaks of Nepal, and now we're looking at where the Pathak lineage is heading in the 21st century. Particularly during the colonial period and then escalating really rapidly post-independence, the Pathak surname spread way beyond South Asia. Individuals looking for new educational and professional opportunities migrated outward. They established strong footholds in major urban centers all across the Western world. So today, you'll find significant, thriving concentrations of the Pathak community in places like the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. And when we zoom in on the Nepali diaspora specifically, the numbers are just staggering. There are an estimated 2.1 million overseas Nepalis worldwide today. Think about that. And the Pathaks, drawing on this incredibly long tradition of mobility and the pursuit of higher education, form a vital, highly visible part of this massive globalized footprint. But you know what's truly remarkable isn't just the fact that they moved, it's how they've managed the move. The source material highlights that despite this vast global dispersion, first-generation migrants continue to strongly honor their roots. They adapt to new environments worldwide, often jumping into modern scholarly fields, right, like medicine, engineering, academia, but they do it while maintaining ironclad cultural ties back home. They actively support their origin countries through remittances and really tight-knit community networks. The scholar has gone global for sure, but definitely hasn't forgotten where the ashram was built. We started all of this by asking what a surname encodes. Well, for the Pathaks, it clearly encodes a relentless pursuit of knowledge, a journey across continents, and a really profound evolution from ancient priests to modern global citizens. So I'll leave you with this one thought. From reciting ancient texts to shaping modern society, what will the readers of the past write next? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I will see you next time.